Good morning students. Today we are going to discuss about the topic cell, that is the fundamental unit of life. So as you know that each and every living organism present on this earth surface, either a plant, animal or microbe, all are made up of cell, and that's why this cell is known as the fundamental unit of life. Even this cell, it is also the structural and functional unit of life. Each cell is capable of independent existence and it performs all the essential functions of life. That's why this cell, it is known as fundamental unit of life. And this cell, it was first discovered. That means the discovery of a cell. So cell is first discovered by Robert Hooke. So the cell is first discovered by Robert Hooke in 1665. In 1665. Something more about the history of this cell. Another scientist, that is Skeladon. So Skeladon is a scientist who studied the plant cell. Skeladon is the scientist who studied the different plant cells. In 1838, and Scavone is the scientist who studied the animal cells. In the same year, that is 1838, later on both these scientists jointly gave the cell theory. Now the study of this cell, its composition and structure, that is the study of cell, its composition and its structure, that is known as cytology. And the branch of science to which this cytology belongs, it is known as biology. So basically in this video we will discuss about the cell theory, the types of cells and the functions of the different cell organelles which are present in these cells. So as you know that all life forms starts with a single cell. Even human beings, they start their life from a single cell in the form of zygote, and there are certain organisms, they are made up of only a single cell. So these organisms are known as either unicellular organism or they are known as acellular organism. For example, the examples of unicellular organism includes such as your bacteria, the amoeba, certain more examples such as certain yeast and chlamydomonas. All these are unicellular organisms because they are made up of only a single cell, whereas there are certain organisms which are made up of more than one cell. These organisms are known as the multicellular organism. The examples includes the human beings, plants and all that. So now we will discuss about the cell theory. So this cell theory, it is jointly forwarded by the two scientists, that is I have already told you, that is Skeladon and Swan in 1839. So Skeladon is the scientist who studied different plant cells, who studied different plant cells, and he found that plant cell is a membrane bounded structure which contains a nucleus inside it. So he studied the different plant cell. He found that all the plant cells are alike or similar, which are bounded by a cell membrane and contains a nucleus, and this plant cell, it is also bounded by another membrane that is known as cell wall. Now another scientist, that is Swan in the same year, that is in, he also studied the plant cell in 1838, and the Swan also studied the animal cell in 1838, and he found that animal cell is not bounded by the cell wall. It consists of a cell membrane that includes a nucleus inside it, but it lacks the cell wall. So Skeleton in 1838 studied different plant cells, and he found that all plant cells are similar. They contains a cell membrane which is also bounded by a cell wall and a nucleus. And Scavone in the same year, that is, Swan in the same year 1838 studied the different animal cells, and he found that animal cell lacks the cell wall. Now both these scientists in 1839 then jointly forwarded the cell theory. Now come to the fundamental features of the cell theory. So the first fundamental feature of cell theory is that all living organisms are composed of cells or their products. Means all living organism, either it is a plant, it is an animal, or even a microbe, all organisms are made up of cells. Now the second fundamental feature of cell theory is that each cell composed of some living mass, and this living mass, it is known as protoplasm. And in each cell, this protoplasm, it is bounded by a cell membrane. This cell membrane, it is also known as the plasma membrane or the plasma lemma, and inside this protoplasm it contains a nucleus. So the second fundamental feature of cell theory is each cell composed of some living mass inside it. That living mass is known as protoplasm. Inside this protoplasm is present nucleus, and this protoplasm is bounded by a cell membrane. Now the third fundamental feature of cell theory is that every cell is identical or similar in, so every cell is identical and similar in its chemistry and physiology. That means that every cell, either it is a plant cell, animal cell, or a microbial cell, each and every cell is similar in its chemical composition, and it have the same physiological structure. Now the next postulate or the fundamental feature of cell theory is that activity of an organism is sum total of activities and interactions of constituent cells present in an organism. That means any function that is carried out by an organism, it is due to the different functions or the sum total of the functions that are carried by the cells present in the body of that organism. So activity of an organism is the sum total of activities and the interactions of the constituent cells present in the body of an organism. That is, the any function that is carried out by an organism, it is due to the functions which are carried out by the cell present in the body of an organism. Now there is another theory, that is modern cell theory, and this modern cell theory, it was proposed by Rudolf Virchow in 1855. Now this modern cell theory, it states that omnis cellula e cellula. It is a Greek term, that is omnis cellula e cellula. This omnis cellula e cellula means that formation of new cells, formation of new cells occurs by division of parental cells or previously existing cells. So this modern cell theory that is proposed by Rudolf Virchow in 1855, it states that omnis cellula e cellula, which is a Greek term, that means the formation of new cells occurs by the division of the parental cells. Now we will discuss about the structure of cell, and in this portion, that is in structure of cell, first we will discuss about the size and shape of cell. So first, that is size of cell. So as we know, these cells, they varies greatly in their size. For example, the smallest cell is of mycoplasm. The smallest cell is of mycoplasm, and this mycoplasm, it varies in its size starting from 0.1 micron meter to 0.5 micron meter. So smallest size is of mycoplasm, and it varies in size from 0.1 micron meter to 0.5 micron meter. The another example is the bacterial cell. The bacterial cell varies in its size from 3 micron meter to 5 micron meter. The another example is the plasmodial cell, that is plasmodium. This plasmodium, it varies in its size from, or it is near about 2 micron meter in size. Now the size of eukaryotic unicellular, or even you can say the size of unicellular eukaryotic cell is near about 1 to 1000 micron meter. The size of multicellular eukaryotic cell is near about 5 to 100 micron meter. And in case of human beings, the size of RBC cell, that is red blood corpuscles or red blood cells. So these RBC, they are near about 7 micron meter in their diameter. Further, if we talk about the largest cell, that is of ostrich egg cell. Ostrich egg is the largest cell. Ostrich egg is the largest. So ostrich egg is the largest cell, and its size is near about 170 into 150 mm, or it is near about 6 inches in size. Now come to the shape of a cell. So on the basis of the location and the presence, these cells varies in their shape, that is in which organism they are present or in an organism where they are located. So on the basis of this, these cells, they varies in their shape, as these cells, they can be flattened in shape, they can be cuboidal, they can be columnar in shape, they can be branched shaped, or they can be branched, or they can be circular, spherical in shape, they can be comma shaped, they can be rod shaped, etc. So on the basis of their presence and location, these cells, they are of different shape. They can be flattened, they can be cuboidal, they can be columnar, branched, they can be circular, they can be spherical, they can be comma shaped or rod shaped. These cells, they may be sometimes irregular in shape, as in case of amoeba. This amoeba changes its shape regularly.